Dr. Joe Bufiel here, and another podcast of Abundant Health Naturally. And today we're going to talk about the 4 key autoimmune triggers. And back with us, the special guest is Dr. Phyllis Russo, Dr. Dash Live. Or
Like it.
Dash Live, how are you living well today?
I'm living very well. It's been a while, so I'm so happy to be here again.
I'm excited that you're here because I love connecting with you, and you have blessed our practice members in hearing your voice on the TV, in our office, and on our YouTube page, just connecting with them. Everybody, when they're waiting to get adjusted, they're looking up at the TV. No, they're not looking up at God. They're looking up at the TV, and they see Phyllis and they see Dr. Joe talking, communicating, encouraging everybody. I love that we have this ability, this platform to reach so many different people, because every little seed that we sow is an opportunity for someone to think, wow, I've been dealing with this, or I can't believe that someone else knows what I'm going through.
And do you have any idea how many autoimmune people are in this country?
It is a plethora of people suffering from autoimmune. Think about all the different autoimmune diseases that are out there. Years ago, it used to be just a handful, and now it is so many that I think a lot of the beginnings of autoimmune diseases or conditions have become intertwined and proven to be so many other different things that pop up.
Right.
Okay.
The figure just for Hashimoto's is 70 million.
70 million.
And that was 5 years ago. So who knows what it is now? And that's just the thyroid. Let's not forget it affects the brain. There's autoimmune on the brain, there's autoimmune on the heart, autoimmune on the liver. Every organ has its own attack. So the numbers are astronomical. And now, since in the rise of them, I know we're going to get into individually, but the rise in them has been since the 80s. And there's a couple major things that changed in the 80s. One is more chemicals in our foods, more toxins in the air, and more vaccines, which are injected into us directly, and the extraneous parts of the vaccines as well. So it's billions probably that with autoimmune.
So, you know, as well as I do, as in the chiropractic profession, that the power that made the body heals the body. That's what we were raised up in this profession through all the wonderful quotes and scientific information through BJ Palmer, but even scripturally in Psalms where it says, we are fearfully and wonderfully made. But yet we have constant insults against our bodies on a continual basis.
Yeah. When you look at it scripturally, we are the creation of God, of the Lord, and we live in this world that is toxic. And another way to say that is demons and Satan and all of that. And so it's here. But God's always going to keep us through. And you want to take care of yourself. The best way to connect with the Lord is to take care of your physical body and your emotional body.
So you
The
just said something that really,
It, it
I
works two ways.
I remember something that happened recently. Your wonderful son posted a video not long ago about taking personal responsibility, and he actually used me as an example. And
I didn't see that one. What did he say?
it was something in the past about speakers in his car many years ago.
Oh, I did hear him do that one. Yeah.
And there's truth to that. The act that I had taken to basically take personal responsibility in that particular event, it shines through to even this day in our own physical bodies and our own personal lives. We need to take personal responsibility for the things that we do, but also in the care and feeding of our bodies,
Mhm.
spirit, soul, and body.
And especially with autoimmune. disease on the and conditions on the rise. It's that much more. Sometimes you'll talk to somebody and go, okay, really, you need to get gluten out of your diet. Why? A lot of people will have an actual gluten intolerance. You'll actually have the antibodies. But the other is it's covered with glyphosates. So I'm sorry, but the healthier you are, the easier it is, the more healed you are, the easier it is to connect with God, right? And so I'm going to tell you, get rid of the grains because it's got glyphosates. And until this world gets it, it's a good idea.
Or even the own country that we live in, because we know we can get flour from other areas that are not as intrusive to our bodies.
We're going to travel to Italy and France. Both of them don't have glyphosates. Malta, I wouldn't trust. I'd live there. I still wouldn't trust the gluten there or the grains, but Italy and France do. But otherwise, really, no. There's probably other countries, but I'm just saying this country is pretty bad and it's poisoned us when it comes to that. Not bad in the way it's a bad country. I love my country. It's
Right.
just bad in the way it's poisoning us.
Just as I've talked about this morning at a breakfast meeting, the consequences of the choices that we make. Good
Yes.
choices get you rewards, bad choices get you discipline. It's a lot of the choices that we get to make. So we have the opportunity to choose to make the right choices. First of all, we have to have the right information. Bad information is going to send us down the wrong rabbit hole. And we have to not be distracted. Constant distractions around us all the time in the decisions that we're making. And then three, we can't be in a hurry because when we're in a hurry, we're being basically triggered by fear. I think these things that we get to share and talk about is a blessing to others. Again, sowing seeds of thought, and maybe they can make a different choice and decision
I
down
have
the
a
road.
I have a question to ask you. You talked about the distractions. Talk a little bit more about that. You said, hey, we have to not be distracted. What would be the reason of the importance of not being distracted in the way of autoimmune? What category would that go under?
Let's put it this way. Think of if you are more focused on your health and making the right choices of the foods that you're eating, or even the input into your body. Okay. Our vision, what we're constantly watching, our hearing, what we're constantly taking in. Even this thing here, our phone, we're constantly distracted. And this world is constantly feeding us information. We have so much information at our fingertips, but we need wisdom and revelation to know what to choose, the most right choice.
Thank you. I think that was important to add.
Yeah. All right. So
Where do you want to start?
four key autoimmune triggers. So we're going to dive in with the most important one first, I feel. Let's make sure we have a timer because I don't want us to get too off topic because
Okay.
we could do that.
Oh, you and I?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I just saw a big giant bird.
So, four key autoimmune triggers, and we're going to start off with genetic predisposition. Do we know that we're all carrying around some genetic form and map in our body, and not all of us know what's going on when it occurs until something's triggered and we have a health crisis?
I
And you
love
have revealed in the past that even you have a genetic issue with methylation. And
methylation and glutathione. So the methyl group of glutathione is the number one liver pathway for detoxification that I do not make glutathione. Funny. Methylation, glutathione, yeah, occasion. I don't,
so,
but glutathione.
knowing that, you have become aware that this is something that your body can easily be triggered because of this, and thus
Right.
inflammation can occur more frequently, more susceptible to an immune response. So it's a matter of share how important it is to know what your genes are made of. Levi's, Jordache, Wrangler.
I'm just going to shake my head.
Yeah.
What a great statement to make for people to understand is genes create susceptibility. Environment determines expression, right? And take me for instance. My genes say you cannot produce glutathione. Why is that a big deal? Glutathione is probably one of our number one anti-inflammatories. And number two, it's the very thing, the very substance that makes our detoxification pathways work, right? Now, if I didn't have that awareness, which I didn't, I don't know why. I wouldn't know why all these triggers were hitting me. I had chronic fatigue when you knew me. And so, but I didn't know why. And who knows? Nobody had, well, chronic fatigue. It was a garbage diagnosis. Nobody knew why. My chronic fatigue was at that point, I was under incredibly high stress, and that's all it needed. So let's not forget about, we talk about infections as a trigger. We talk about genetics are already there. We talk about, what are the other four? All of a sudden, I got to look at that thing again. Dietary, incorrect foods that we're allergic to, infections, viral infections, things like hepatitis, toxic chemicals, heavy metals, all that. If I knew that, I would have been able to better prepare. I would have done glutathione years ago because I have to take it exogenously. I have to take it from the outside. If I knew that years ago, those triggers might not have even been triggers. That's how important the awareness is on the genetic predispositions without fear.
If you knew that back then, think of how you could have better connected with your practice members at that time.
Yes. I did well. I did well, but that was a big missing link that I could have made a bigger difference, I think.
Yeah. I mean, it is amazing that we got to think about this. Your genes do make up things, but then also there's a thing called epigenetics where we can change that genetic expression. So it's again, I go back to good choices, bad choices. When you start to make corrections, it gives your body that opportunity to say, hey, I know my GPS coordinate has told me I have to go this way, but I need to recalculate and I want to go
Yeah,
this
there's
way.
a construction in the way.
That's right. That's
Yeah,
right. We're
exactly.
constantly under construction.
Yes. And that's what a great, actually, it's a great analogy because what do you do with that construction? Well, you eat the foods that might be more anti-inflammatory. Some of the greens, the kales and the broccoli are very good. Brassicas are very good for the system. Anything that contains natural glutathione is good for the system. High protein diet, organic foods, nothing, things that the animals themselves ate well, pasture raised animals, all are healthier for our immune system, for their immune system, and for our immune system. Everything that we do, everything that we say, every type of stress we experience, every spiritual part of warfare, all of these are triggers and we're fearfully and wonderfully made. So we take care of our part. We are stewards of this body. And part of that is eating correctly, eating the best foods, the healthiest, the most nutritional, and the most anti-inflammatory in this world,
So you just slid right into trigger number two,
which is,
dietary components, the
mhm.
dietary triggers. So instead of going off base, we go, okay, I know my genes are saying this, but what foods am I eating that are saying, hey, I don't like you and I'm going to trigger you? It's,
Here's a couple things. First one that's probably the worst for us is sugars.
yeah, bam. Yeah, that's mic drop.
So I always talk about, and here's the thing, sugars are worse for everything. right? So I know we're talking about autoimmune because gluten is probably number one for autoimmune, and possibly dairy is like number two. But really, sugar is number one.
Why is that? Why is sugar the most
It is the
the
most,
biggest culprit in this?
there's a couple things. Number one, it pulls our defenses out.
Ah,
It, it
decreases your white blood cell count.
yes. And it increases pancreatic problems. So sugar problems in relation to the pancreas, then in relation to diabetes, which in relation is brings up cortisol, which is in relation to inflammation.
Oh, you mean you become hormonal, so you're not able to regulate your hormonal picture. Thus, you're tired, you're moody,
Your fog,
and then all of a sudden,
big
ah,
one is
man, my
foggy.
joints hurt and I can't. Why am I so sore? I didn't do anything. No, you did. Silly, you ate that stupid Twinkie that you weren't supposed to, and now all of a sudden your body's inflamed.
And so one of the things it does is it changes what is known as oxidative stress. And once you change that, that's when that inflammation rises. And boy, once inflammation rises, you really are stuck in it. It's just that constant auto response.
Yeah,
That's why they call it autoimmune. It just happens
it's
over,
automatic.
over and over again. Yeah. And it is hard. It's hard to get it back. That's the one thing. The question you asked is, wow, what if you knew it back then? Once, and it's funny because it's another post that Anthony recently put up, and that is once something's there, it is harder to get back. It's there. Now it's there. And so then you have to process how you are going to function from there on. And you can feel better. The object is to feel better. You want to control, you want to get that regulation on your immune system. And so again, it's stay away from anything that causes like the mast cell, right? Those would be fermented foods. Stop drinking your wine. Yes, they talk about it being a antioxidant, but there's so many things in it that actually increase immune problems. You want newer cheeses. You don't want really strong aged cheeses. Processed meats have lots of toxins in it. So you want to look at that. You want to look at your microbiome. You want to make sure that there's some diversity to it. Got a great way, couple great ways for diversity. Before diversity, do you use butter?
Yeah, butter makes everything good.
Yes, it does. And the other thing about butter is it's a butyrate. That's why it's called butter. Butyrate is a chemical within us that you actually want to increase butyrate production to decrease inflammation. And butter is actually a great way to do it. Stop the, how do I say it nicely? The BS. And you can figure out what that might stand for, and we can make it, I don't know, all different kind of acronyms, but about butter being bad for us, about cholesterol being bad for us.
Yeah,
All good.
that's a hoax, I think is the best way to put it.
That's a
Uh,
good
Let me
word.
give you, before we move to the next circle here or trigger in this key, is butter. One thing I do with butter is put it in my coffee and blend it up.
That must be delicious. Did you say you blend it or you just stir it in?
I blend it in.
Do you
Yep.
have like the best tasting coffee ever?
Sure, I doctor it up by putting butter in it. But no, it's a great way to stimulate in my way, the fat loss and energy for the
Yeah,
day.
that's a
There's
great
times
idea.
if I don't have butter, I utilize coconut oil in my.
I was going to say that, but I don't think coconut oil would taste as good in coffee.
No, it does. Trust me.
Okay. I use Life Boost coffee. It's organic and it's mold free. I was just telling somebody they were talking about grilled cheese sandwiches. Now, make sure you get gluten-free bread. I go now through a company called Wild Grain. They do slow fermentation, so it's not a big fermentation process. They have all different kinds of breads, all that sort of thing. But
And
here's the
A2 cheese.
Yeah, I only eat A2 cheese. A2 cheese, if people don't know what it is, it's so normally cow's milk is A2 and A1 cheese, and it's their DNA. It's the coding for their DNA. But they found cows that have a different DNA, which people can tolerate more because one, it hasn't been out there and it hasn't been overly processed. At one point, it might not be the greatest thing for us, but right now it's a great thing for us. So you want to get A2 cheese, you want to get A2 milk. So, but you just said it, that's why I got into it, is fry that, pan fry that grilled cheese with coconut oil.
Mm.
It changes the whole grilled cheese. Just say,
It's called Flavor Town.
yeah. My gosh. Oh, we got to do something
Hopefully,
about this
hopefully that phrase is
friendship.
not trademarked.
Yeah. Don't worry, Joe. It won't. Don't worry, Dr. Teal.
Oh, we are so infectious. That's why I
Here
think
we,
it's great to move to the next one here. The
oh, our
next key
infection.
is infections. So
Yeah.
infections, viral, bacterial, parasitic. We've had a show about parasites and even, yes, the fungi, mold. Those infections, they can take root and they can be stealthy too. Think of when kids, myself, I remember having a streptococcus infection when I was younger. Kids get them all the time. Oh, he's got Jimmy or Johnny has strep throat today. He can't be in school. If we don't get the body built up enough to fight off that infection, that strep infection can stay in the body for a very long time.
One of the biggest viral infections, the biggest, not one of the biggest viral infection in relation to Hashimoto's and most autoimmune is streptococcus. What do we do for it? We give it antibiotics. So we never build up our immune system to be able to fight the strep. I remember when Anthony was a baby and had streptococcus, and and he also had ear infection. We just treated it with garlic and onion and just kept the fever, just kind of kept the fever down with cool towels. Nothing besides that, because you want that fever to happen. So we didn't bring down the fever totally, but when it got super high, he's gotten as high as 100 and I think when he was a baby, 105 or something. And we did have to be careful because if you recall, he was prone to febrile seizures, but we just kept it down that way, enough of a fever that it would still fight the strep. So once you have immune system to your strep, you won't get an autoimmune problem. But every time that you get antibiotics for that strep, you have no immune system, and that strep will take hold. And then that's what ends up with that suppressing the immune system. Therefore, you get these autoimmune system conditions.
So you had mentioned about the antibiotic regimen that is prevalent to
Mhm.
most people today. And this carries over back to what we're talking about dietary wise, the dietary component, that when we have that antibiotic, it's killing the good and bad bacteria within our gut
Right. That's
and
the
our gut.
microbiome.
Yeah,
Yep.
the microbiome. So 70% of our immune response is coming from our gut. So you suppress that, you're opening the door. It's kind of like the inroads for the bad stuff to come in and take root. So not only when we are having sugar or we're having an antibiotic because of an infection,
It's
you're
killing the
creating that
microbiome.
cascade effect.
Yeah. You are saying the number one reason for our autoimmune system problem is the microbiome. Number one.
And
I wish I could say I have a good microbiome now. I will say that I think that I'm on the road digestively to start really increasing it. Because to be honest, right now I eat predominantly a carnivore diet. And so a little bit of keto in there as well, because I have decent fat. But I don't eat a lot of vegetables right now, just because of the way my gut is. Dr. Karazian talks about all of a sudden I forget the name of it. You get all okay, I can't remember the name, but you get all the vegetables you want, all organic. Go to your natural grocers, go to your Whole Foods, whatever it is, all organic vegetables, your garden, put them all together, chop them all up, put them in your blender and get jars that you can put in your freezer. And you've blended like 20 different organic vegetables, all different colors, from eggplant to kale to carrots to bok choy to anything, right? You put all of these, you don't grind them moist. It's a dry, it ends up being dry. You put those in your freezer, and every day all you do is take a teaspoon of it. It's not about increasing vitamins or anything like that, even though it does help, but it's about getting your microbiome more diverse. Because those of us with autoimmune, we do not have a diverse microbiome. So we're open again. Like unless we've got to be very careful. And then we're open again to something else
The
in
sad
relation.
thing is, of what I have discovered in my years of connecting with patients, especially doing diet diaries and people coming to us and asking them for help in many different areas. And it really goes to their immune system, their hormonal output, thyroid issues. But the key, when I do a diet diary with somebody, okay, I'm not seeing a lot of vegetables. Not that I want someone to be vegetarian. I'm never pushing someone totally vegetarian, but yet there's not a variety in their dietary collection and going into their body. A lot of what I see in folks is carbohydrates, starchy
Yeah.
foods, grains. And I'll sit down with somebody and say, hey, what vegetables do you like? Corn,
Yeah.
potatoes, carrots. What about this? What about, no, I don't like that. It, we have to, if nothing changes. And if you continue to do the same thing over and over again, we all know that's the definition of insanity. So you have to be willing to make a change and try something new that you haven't done before. You got to start somewhere.
I have
I'll
some
always go
recipes,
back. I'll
by the way.
always go back to the story of someone who was drinking soda, 10 2-liter bottles a week of soda, and said, listen, I can't have you stop cold turkey. It just won't happen. It's like trying to get someone to not smoke cigarettes. So, how about we just take one a week away? And she fell off the face of the earth, hadn't seen her for a while, and then all of a sudden comes back and said, hey, how you doing with the soda? Oh, I don't drink that anymore. Great. That's great. She substituted it with something else, but still it's better choice. So
Mhm.
you have to
It
be
takes time.
willing to go outside of your box that you have made for yourself over a period of time and put something new in every once in a while, a little something new, so that you can help your body be affected in a better way.
I have some recipes, by the way, and those are open to the public. Dr. Dash Live Well. It's funny, I just looked at those today, and there's some side dishes, things like that. Because one of the things with vegetables, my dad hated broccoli, and sometimes you just had to find a recipe that
Yeah.
masked it enough. And of course, he was like 90s. It's, oh God, let him have sugar for goodness sakes at this point. He made it to his 90s. And again, it was, but, and so some people will have something that they just won't eat, but you want to find something that they could. There's some people would say, oh my God, I cannot do Brussels sprouts, but there are some great Brussels sprouts recipes that even with people who don't like Brussels sprouts can do those recipes.
Add bacon
The
to your
other thing
Brussels
is get,
sprouts, it'll make everything better.
it's the other thing is throwing them into smoothies. Because a lot of times you don't taste it. If you've got pineapple juice in there, you might not taste the beets that you throw in. You don't often do. So there's just smoothies too that all kale is very hidden in a smoothie in those type of drinks. So keep that in mind. You got to get some of those veggies in there, I must admit. And
Sometimes I,
last,
I kind of want to say, just suck it up and do it differently.
suck
Because
it up, buttercup.
that's right, man. Suck it up,
Up,
buttercup.
buttercup.
Okay, number 4,
Toxins.
toxic chemicals, the external influences, heavy
B
metals, toxic chemicals, things in our
BPA.
environment.
What's the biggest one that we probably encounter every day? BPA. Plastics.
Plastic.
I can't even tell you the last time I drank out of a plastic bottle. Will not do that anymore. It's all bottle bottles. And
Even our food containers as well.
there
If
you
you
go.
have leftovers and the things that you store your food in, I recently did a podcast about 14 ways to help prevent cancer in your body. And it talked about those things that we preserve our food in.
Wait a minute. You did a recent podcast without me?
It was in between, Phyllis.
We'll have a discussion about that. I'll tell you, men, they always give that stuff up. Okay.
Apparently, you didn't watch it because it's posted on our YouTube page or my
I-
YouTube page.
I've been busy. Anyway, if I saw it, I'd be very upset. Hold on. Okay, got it.
Let's hope that wasn't too toxic.
Oh, I know the plastic. Again, on Dr. Dash Live, I do have a lot of papers on what you can cook with, how you change to glass. Again, all my stuff in my, anytime I do leftovers or my fruits or anything like that, I know that they come in plastic. Like I had a whole thing of organic strawberries, but it's in a plastic container. I wash it, I clean it, and then I put it in glass containers. So I always have everything in glass. So my whole refrigerator is, and you can get it on Amazon. There is a couple things to remember if you go to stores and they have glass containers. What do they usually have? Plastic tops, but there are those that have the bamboo tops. So keep that in mind. Yeah, you've got to get away from that. Definitely.
I think the biggest thing I want to stress with everybody is yes, we're talking about many different things, especially with our food containers and how we store things, how we cook things. I guess the biggest thing is there's no way that you are going to be perfect. Perfection is the enemy of success. So we really need to make sure that we try to do something different. And as we continue to do something different, it's going to create a ripple effect.
Indeed. So let me add one last thing because there really is. We can have, I will say, we can have a discussion on each one of these categories, each one of these categories, and relate them to how our genes get expressed through it all. Here's another one that isn't on that cool little picture that you sent to me is our stress and is even our childhood issues. Because I think that opens it up. Do you know that almost everybody that I work with that has Hashimoto's, which is the thyroid, which is our throat, which is our place of communication, I will tell you that a large percentage of the women that I work with have been quieted down, have had their voice lowered, have not been able to say what they need to express from very early on in their childhood. And oftentimes, our conditions as a child, whether it's really bad, such as abuse, all the way to certain perceived ideas of how we were raised, divorced parents, not having a father in the house, any of that has a large relationship to autoimmune disease. I don't want to say 100%, but it's darn close. It's darn close. And so one needs to look at something. I can't say 100% because I do know one person, maybe two, that it doesn't have, that it doesn't get related, that their health is good. And then the other part with that is that, so we're looking at that emotional part, we're looking at how stress affects us, and we're also looking at our spiritual life. Now, that can go two ways. You can know Jesus and you can love him, and there's still things that affect you stress-wise, anxiety-wise. There's many Christians I know that have anxiety. And the should part, right? you shouldn't have anxiety because you should be able to have faith in God, right? But we're still in this human body and we're still not taking care of ourselves nutritionally and we're still surrounded by toxins. And so that makes it harder and harder to connect. As we take care of this, the connection between ourselves and God, ourselves and the Lord, ourselves and our belief system can get stronger and stronger. And I work with people who are not Christians. I work with a lot of the metaphysical people, and they are eating too much sugar and they are still not taking care of their bodies. And they are just so not grounded human beings. And they're ill guided. So it does go both sides. And that is the importance of everything that we have said today. Every step is important. And the importance of just knowing that Christ loves us and that he created us. And that place of before you put some food in your mouth, would Jesus want me to eat this?
Hmm.
Because I'm a steward of the body of the Holy, my body has a Holy Spirit. Would he want me to eat this? That's what I would ask. You might be wrong
Hmm.
sometime, but ask the question. God, there is a bird that's just gliding right underneath my window.
So before you check that chicken nugget into your gullet,
Or maybe not.
maybe not. Let me leave you all on this note, especially when we're talking about emotional things, because there is that emotional component. The more you think something, the greater it becomes in your own mind. What you repetitively say to yourself is important. So there's death and life in the power of the tongue. Remember, you are fearfully and wonderfully made, and these triggers don't have to be a part of you. You have control. You get to make the choice. Hopefully, today we get to sow some seed to say, hey, I want to do something different. And this is the great opportunity to tune in, like us, subscribe, ask questions. There's always more to be had and to dig deeper. Digging deeper. We are building on a strong foundation, not sinking sand.
Very true. And I am always available for a call. I don't care if people just text me first. I also have something now. It's a click on, you can go to livingwaters.com. No, Living Waters within dot. So please, you can go ahead and put that on the, but that is, so I'm always available. There's something called Break the Chains on Dr. Dash Live Well. If you click that, is a free, about 45-minute discussion about anything you want to ask me, whether it's about all the toxins we talked today about, or what you can do with your stress and what you can do with your present day stress. And if you think that things from childhood affected you as well, that's kind of my big specialty at this point, is really going back and saying, how did this affect me? And how is it affecting me today and forevermore in this life? And I think that's it, what I want to say. I'm just there for you. So lots of freebies I'm offering today.
Awesome. What a great opportunity. Folks, tune in to the next episode. You never know who you're going to see. You might see me, you might see Dr. Livewell, or you may
You know,
see.
if you're just, yeah, I was going to say, if you're two timing me, I'm going to really be upset. Better, was that podcast just you or was that with somebody else?
It was just me.
Okay, because we need to have a conversation now, just saying.
Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.